Stampers, it's Cindy here with Stampin' Chick Creations. I'm just jumping back on to do this shaker card that I told you I would do in the last video, and I'm going to use this jar of flowers. So on the last video with this, I showed you the reversible and the two-step stamping, and I mentioned how these adorable matching jars make really cute shaker cards. So I thought I'd get on and just show you quickly how you can do a shaker card with this bundle. So I'm just going to put the stamp set to the side. I am going to warn you, I am using a little bit of retired product. I realized today when I went to go do this that I don't have anything that is current that I could actually make a shaker card out of as far as sequins or that kind of thing, okay? So you're going to have to bear with me a little bit on that. Not something I usually do. But in desperate times, we have desperate measures, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm using a piece of our 2019-2020 in color, and this is Rococo Rose. It's a really, really pretty color. It's a light pink color. I don't know if you can see that well or not, but it's really pretty. And then I'm going to use a piece of Basic Black, and then a piece of Whisper White is what I'm going to do. So basically my Basic Black is just going to glue on to my Rococo Rose as such, which I can go ahead and do just for simplicity's sake to get this part done. Because you always want to check and make sure your card's opening the right direction. In this case, it doesn't matter, but when you have your stamped image down, you want to make sure. So I'm just going to move my card out of the way for a second. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and I've actually got a jar here that I have punched out from before. So I'm going to try, very bravely, going to try to stamp on this. No pressure, right? I could actually stamp on here and then punch it out. I could definitely do that. So my Rococo Rose is very, very juicy. So I'm just going to stamp off, just so that I get a nice light color. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp directly on here and see how good I can get this. So again, I'm doing I should have moved over a little bit. I'm doing the solid stamp on here. So there we go. And I don't love that, so I'm just going to do that again. Kind of picky. Let's see how we can... see if we can get that going okay. We'll go about there. Still don't think it's going to be in the right spot, but it doesn't matter. We're just going to make it do not bad. Okay, so then what I want to do is I need my Stampin' Cleaner. So bear with me. I cling, clang, and bang to get my Stampin' Cleaner out. So we have no water here right now at the studio. We've discovered a leak downstairs in the basement, so my husband has turned our water off. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I just cleaned this. This is my smooth side, so I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna flip that right over. I'm gonna line it back up there. And then I'm gonna come back in with my Rococo Rose. And so now I'm doing the lined image, or the dimensional side of that, I guess is I could call. I'm gonna stamp that right down. And you don't have to do this part, but I like to. So there is my jar. It's all done. Okay, so we are done with the Rococo Rose. So I'm gonna go ahead and close that up. I really like that color, but actually I don't use it very often, to be quite honest. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to bring in my jar punch that coordinates with this, right? So this is my Whisper White piece of paper, and so essentially what's going to happen is that this is going to come on top as my third layer of my card. So I'm going to move this out of the way. Oh, I have a little pile here, and I'll explain that in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead, and if you've never used one of our punches before, technically the proper way to punch is to punch this way. But everybody knows that I don't do anything the way you're supposed to do it. So I like to punch towards me because I like to see where I am punching. So there's a little slot up here at the top of your punch, and then this is your lock. So then for storing purposes, you squeeze and you slide, and now this is locked, so it sits nice and easy on your shelf and that kind of thing. So to engage it, you're just going to unlock it. So we're gonna put my Whisper White piece of paper in my punch so you can see it here. I'm just going to try to make this somewhat centered. And this will only go so far into my punch because the punch actually stops, right? So you just wanna make sure that you're positioning it and your card is big enough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna punch this out. And so when you punch, you wanna make sure you don't get this part of your hand pinched in here, because speaking from experience, it hurts. And if you've ever done it, you know it hurts. So what I could do is, I just realized my jar is a little bit crooked, but that's fine. So what I could actually do is I could go ahead and glue this right down, okay? No, I couldn't actually. I have to do my actual clear jars. But the thing you want to make sure that you do before you fill your jar and you do this part, you want to stamp your flowers, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why. Because today I was not thinking and I wanted to do this video, so I decided to make this card. But I quickly discovered, because if you don't think process, right? When I went to go stamp, my stamp will not reach my paper because this is raised, okay? Little tip for you. So of course I thought, oh, I'll line up my shaker card and then I'll put my flowers and it will be all hunky-dory. But it would not go down. So I actually had to take my stamp off the block and actually with my hands push it down, and you'll notice that it didn't actually get too close to the jar. So take my advice on that one. So what I'm gonna do, that's just a little tip for you because you learn from my mistakes or my learnings. They're not really mistakes, they're learnings. So what I'm doing is I'm coming in with my basic black Memento ink and I'm stamping up the flowers. I'm gonna try to stamp these. I wanna make sure these are nice and black actually, just to give it a nice crisp image. And I feel like my basic black is starting to dry out a bit. So I'm gonna actually turn this towards me so that I can make sure that I get this straight. So so I know that this is the edge of my jar. I keep calling it a jar. So I'm actually just going to line my stamp up right to the end of that. And then I'm going to push that down nice and firmly, and then I'm gonna lift straight up, and there's my jar, okay, or there's my flowers. So now what we need to do is we're going to bring in our card base, and I'm just going to set this down here like this. I'm gonna bring in this piece that we just cut and stamped, and I'm going to line this up here. Now, keep in mind that I flipped this over and I should not have. I don't know if it really, doesn't really matter, but it kind of matters. Just doesn't fit as perfect this way. But you can see where I said my jar is crooked. That's what I was talking about. My jar should essentially be this way. So I just punched it a little crooked. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually put some glue on the back of my stamped and punched jar. I'm going to line up my Whisper White. Now I know that, you know, you guys might have a quicker or more efficient way to do this, but this is how I find works best for me. So there's a million ways to do this, but so I'm gonna line this up here like that. Okay, and pushing that down, and then I'm just gonna kind of lift my white through, okay? So I know that's where my jar is going to go. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to bring in, this is where I'm using the Retired product. You should probably use like an embossing buddy or a static dryer sheet or something here to remove the static from your paper. But what I have actually been told, and it seems to work well, is that when you're using any type of glitter or sequins or anything to put inside your card, it actually works really well if you add just little scraps of paper in with your shaker. So you'll see here on this one that I did not, and you can see the gold is really sticking. And earlier actually it was sticking to the top of my jar there. So if you put some paper in there, it tends to reduce the static. Okay, so I've just punched out some hearts and just some black little circles and some pink circles just to add a little bit in there. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of gold flakes. These are retired flakes. We had these a few years ago. If you came to the Paper, Ink, and Glitter event, you know that we gave these out to everybody in your treat bag. So these are quite the little glitters to deal with because they end up everywhere. Okay. So I will go home and have gold glitter all over me. And then what I did on the other ones is I actually used these Peaceful Poppy sequins that were just in the Handmade for You book that just retired. So I'm just gonna grab a few of those and just put those in just for a little bit of bling. So, like I said, I don't usually use retired products, but in this case, we'll make an exception. Okay, so what I'm gonna try to do, if I can, is get some of that gold glitter out of there. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring in my shaker domes. And so these have adhesive on the back side as well as the front side, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just peel back the backing on there. And then I'm going to line this up here as best as I can. And of course I'm doing this upside down, so this is quite awesome. And I'm just gonna push that down just to make sure it adheres and that nothing comes out of that. So if I shake that, we should be good. Okay. So then I'm gonna bring my Whisper White piece back in, and that's just gonna lay on top. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this adhesive off. And if you have a hard time doing this, even like your poker tool or something like that would work well. So you wanna be careful that when you do this, that you're lining it up and it's straight, which it is there. So super cute, isn't it? So now I could put a sentiment if I wanted, even on my little jar or over here or whatever. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm actually gonna color in some of the flowers using my blends. And if you haven't used the blends before, they're awesome. They're alcohol based and they have a thin end and a paintbrush end. So I like using, for the thick ones, I like using the sorry, not for the thick ones, for the dark colors of these, I like to use the thick end, and I like to just go on the outside. So even doing this, I think I should have actually colored this before I adhered it to my card. I'm having a hard time talking today. And so I'm using the Rococo Rose blend. So if you're wondering what color this is, I'm just gonna go in here. So I'm just kind of going where I want the darker colors to come in. So I'm just kind of doing the outlines. I like doing that part. There's no real right or wrong to this. I know some people like to go light and then into dark. I like to go dark into light. I just find it blends a little bit better. And I find that when I do this, outlining the flower or the image, then it's easier for me to determine what colors I need as far as what is going to be a green, what is going to be a pink, and that kind of thing. So I think I'll go here. And I think I'll stop there just for a second. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my light Rococo Rose, and I'm going to use the paintbrush end on this. I'm just going to turn this way. And I'm just going in a circular motion, just very, very light, very light. Like I barely want to touch the paper light, okay? And so what's going to happen is that this is going to blend so that you don't see those lines that I just put in there. And the more I blend, the better it is. And I could actually go back in and add some more dark tones to this if I wanted. And then when I'm all done, we all know that there's going to be a little bit of Wink of Stella on here, right? Just to bling up my flower a little bit. And if you're not familiar with Wink of Stella, it is a must-have for every craft room. It is a pen, basically. It's a glitter pen, I guess is what you could call it. But it's one of those items that you don't even realize is creating such a wow for your project. It's phenomenal. And it does come in different colors. We only carry it in the clear though. Okay, so I'm just gonna maybe finish in these colors here and just keep blending a little bit more. And so as this dries and the colors blend, you can see that where it's highlighting. So my outside of my flower will be a little bit darker than the inside. So basically we're just shading is really what we're doing here. Okay, so I'm not gonna go through and do the whole thing, but I could do the same thing with my greens. So I like to use this one here to go down the veins of the leaves over here. Close that up. And then I'll use this end to just come in. So the really important thing to remember with your blends is that if you push too hard, you will actually damage the tip of your blends. So you want to make sure that that's not happening, because once your tips are damaged, you cannot replace them. So then your whole marker is actually, it's ruined. So you don't want that to happen at all. So then I'm just gonna come in, some of these are very hard to open, which is a good thing because we don't want them drying out. I'm just gonna come in and color some of these here. So I'm not gonna finish this whole thing. I think you get the idea of where I'm going with this, and how fun this can be. So if you haven't tried a shaker card before, I hope this will encourage you to try one. And if you haven't tried the blends yet, oh my goodness, they're a must-have. And they do come now as a combo, so you get the dark and the light together. Whereas in the past, what would happen is you would just get to pick either the light, they were sold separately, basically the light and the dark, which they're not doing that anymore. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because I do find sometimes my one will go run out a little bit quicker than my other, or the tip will get ruined, or that kind of thing. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that card. Not a color that I would normally use, so this is a bit of a challenge for me. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and it encourages you to go ahead and try a shaker card and actually try the blends. Try something new and fun. I do know some people that don't enjoy coloring, and since they've tried using the blends, they actually quite like it. So that's a huge testimonial for me as far as I'm concerned, because coloring is something I find that either you like or you don't like. I find it very relaxing personally, but some people don't. So yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it like that just for right now. And then again, I could put some Wink of Stella on my flowers just to make it bling up a little bit. And under normal circumstances, I would want to emboss this just because to me it looks very plain. But with stamping this image here, it's a little bit difficult to do that. So yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and it gave you an idea of how you could possibly use this Jar of Flowers stamp set, and again showcasing the reversible and the two-step stamping, and then how to put together a shaker card. So if you want to order any of these products, you can do so at my website. That is Cindy Pigott, P-I-G-G-O-T-T, all one word, .stampinup.net. And you can visit my blog, which is stampingchickcreations.com, is all you have to put into your web browser, and just message me there, and we will get this ordered for you, and get the whole bundle for you. So thanks for joining me. Hope you're having a great day, and stay tuned for more videos. And I'd love to hear your feedback if you're enjoying these videos or something you'd like to see. I'd love to make a video specifically around something that you're looking for. So message me and let me know, okay? Thanks guys, have a great day. Bye.